The NPA's COVID loans campaign began in the Prime Minister's constituency.
Andrew Lane, Chair of the National Pharmacy Association. Why are you campaigning in Uxbridge today?
So we're here to remind the Prime Minister to make good on his promise to community pharmacies when he went onto the podium and said he would reimburse us for our COVID costs.
Why can't pharmacies pay off the loans?
So pharmacies, as you're probably aware, have had a significant role to play in the pandemic, and they had quite a lot of costs amounting to about 400 million so far that they've borne personally, and that's every pharmacy in the land has incurred those costs, and Boris made his promise to reimburse them. So that's what we're here to remind the Prime Minister to, Boris, keep his promise. You know, we're asking, I think it's about £30,000 per pharmacy. Some large corporates have had bailouts of billions. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think we're asking a great deal. So in terms of likening this or what proportion it is to the overall GDP or how much has been spent bailing businesses out generally, it's a drop in the ocean compared, and it's for a health service that's kept the kept the nation going. So we're not just campaigning here in Uxbridge. We were outside in the Pharmacy Minister's constituency, Joe Churchill. We also lobbied heavily in the constituency of Steve Barclay, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, also in Rishi Sunak's constituency up in Ripon. So we've been campaigning actively, targeting the key players in the government to ensure that they get the message. And we know it's sinking in. We've had feedback already from Steve Barclay and from the Minister. So we know already that they are seeing local pharmacies with the posters that have been created by the NPA to bring to the attention the plight of community pharmacy.
What sort of feedback did you have from Steve Barclay and the others?
Well, put it this way, we believe they were upset.
Going to PSNC funding negotiations, they've said it's unlikely to make a final funding agreement until there's clarity on COVID costs. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think we would like to see a little bit stronger. We would like the COVID costs paid for before any discussions on funding go forward. So, you know, Boris, keep your promise, make sure that we get the funding, and then PSNC negotiate. So I think we don't want the clarity, we just want the payment, really.
Knowing Boris Johnson, do you think he will keep his promise?
Well, obviously this will be a test. There's no way of knowing that he will keep his promise. And I think we've just got to keep that pressure on.
C&D followed the NPA bus to its first stop, Puri Pharmacy in Ruislip. Why do you feel this campaign is important?
Well, I think it's very important because as this pandemic has shown, that the pharmacies have been central in providing continuity of care to local residents and the public. Imagine a scenario where the pharmacies had to shut down during the pandemic. All the other healthcare professionals were not easily accessible. They were behind closed doors anyway. We include the dentists, the opticians, even the GPs. You couldn't even get to see the GP. You couldn't even get to the front door to actually speak to a receptionist. And the only means of accessibility were through pharmacies at that time. And that's where we came to the fore in supporting the NHS. Now, the NHS is a vital organization with this country. It's a unique service that you probably won't find in any other country. And as pharmacists, I think we've gone to prove that we are a vital cog in that service provision within the NHS. And if that cog is taken out of that process, then the NHS is really going to suffer. Yeah. And you talk about the Chancellor, you talk about Boris Johnson. What have they said? They said we are a vital, important part of the NHS. We want to protect the NHS. They've said that themselves. Well, how are they protecting the NHS if they're cutting funding to a vital cog in the NHS to the pharmacies? Then that's where the NHS is going to suffer.
Outside the pharmacy, I spoke to Yvonne Powers, a local resident. After hearing about the COVID loans campaign, she wrote to Boris Johnson, who she said replied saying she was misinformed and that there was no way that they were going to close the chemists.
The way things are going, we are also towards that extreme end, where any further cuts in funding, will result in this pharmacy being, maybe not being able to be viable anymore, shall we say. So we are struggling here as well. We're trying to do our best to keep our doors open to the local residents here.
For more information on pharmacy funding, visit the C&D website at chemist+druggist.co.uk. Thanks for watching.